I'm just gonna talk over the beginning so you don't try to loop this shit and fucking take it like it's your own shit. Check it.
Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Peter. I'm building a new dietary supplement brand for the US market. If you've been watching my videos, you've seen me hanging out in Argentina, Buenos Aires, but I'm back in Europe. And today I'm going to Bratislava, Slovakia to submit a citizenship application. Today I want to talk about citizenships, building a global lifestyle and a global company structure, and why you should get multiple citizenships in today's world. So I'm submitting this citizenship application because my grandfather was born in the Austro-Hungarian Empire's Slovakian part, which is now Slovakia, used to belong to the Austro-Hungarian Empire. So I do this citizenship through ancestry. And there are multiple reasons why I do it. One of them is if you are from one country and you have the chance to get multiple citizenships, it's beneficial for you because, you know, not a single country is always stable at all the time. So if you can diversify yourself, it gives you easier access to a different market, more opportunities for yourself and for your family. Now, the third reason, and I guess that's one of the most important one, is Hungarian tax law is a little bit peculiar. Normally, your citizenship and residence are two separate things, and your residence determines where you pay your taxes. But Hungary, if you are a Hungarian citizen and you're only a Hungarian citizen, if you move to a country that doesn't have a tax treaty with Hungary, then you are obliged to still pay taxes for the Hungarian government despite not having permanent residence here, despite not being part of the social system. I don't see the benefit of doing so. And with my previous business, just with the VAT, I've paid much more than an average Hungarian citizen would pay taxes in his entire life. The reason for the citizenship is that I can free myself from the Hungarian tax system and I can get access to the Slovakian tax system, which, by the way, Hungary used to have a tax treaty with the US, and my plan is to build my company for the US market. So if I moved to the US, I would only pay taxes to the US and not to Hungary. That was the past. But now, if I move there, because Hungary no longer has the tax treaty with the US because of the current regime's relations with the Biden administration, I would be obliged to pay taxes for the US, which is already very high, and also to Hungary. It doesn't make sense, especially, again, if I don't live here, if I'm not part of the social system, I don't get healthcare here or anything. Slovakia does have a tax treaty. So if I were to set up a Slovakian entity that owned the US entity, I would not pay double taxation. I would only pay corporate tax in the US. So in a nutshell, that's why I'm doing this citizenship application. Now, the purpose of taxes is government collects money so that they can fund public services. But if you're living a global lifestyle, like the one that I'm building right now, then you are not going to be using those public services. Now, that's one of the issues with taxation. The other issue is where I'm from in Hungary, the government is not really spending the tax money on public services. They rather put it in their own pockets. Now, not every country does that. If you're from, let's say, one of the Nordic countries, then there's a better redistribution of wealth and better public services. There are two different levels of taxation. One of them is the company level and the other one is the personal level. On the company level, you pay corporate taxes on the profits that your business generates, and then you also need to pay the taxes on your dividends or the salary that you take out from your money. Usually business owners, they only take out dividends. Usually the taxes are lower on dividends anyway. On the personal level, you pay personal income tax based on your residence. Again, there are a few countries that don't really take into account your residence, they take into account your citizenship. Hungary, US, right? Now, what you should be doing is find an offshore entity. And by the way, offshore may sound like this magical word, but it only means that you have an entity that is registered outside of the country where you operate. So you should find an offshore company where corporate income tax is very low if you are doing business mostly globally. If you are running a company in the US for the US market, then it's harder. You can do little optimizations, but it's harder. If you have a business that's only dependent on one single market, then the offshore system doesn't really make sense, depending again on the location. But Usually if most of your business is happening in one place, then that's where you are going to have to pay taxes anyways. But again, if you're doing a global business, and let's say you live in Argentina in my case, do business for the US market, have citizenships in Europe, then you can basically choose where you base your entity and optimize from a VAT standpoint, optimize from a corporate tax structure, and then do on a personal level as well. So right now, as things stand, I'm going to incorporate, it's already in the process, I'm incorporating a Cyprus-based entity. I'm going to have the 2 citizenships, and I'm going to be a tax resident in Paraguay. Reason for that, Cyprus doesn't do any withholding tax on dividends paid to foreign owners. Whereas, let's say Slovakia, if you have a Slovakian citizenship and a Slovakian company that owns another US entity, then when you pay dividends to yourself and you live in Argentina that doesn't have a tax treaty with Slovakia, Slovakia takes 35% withholding tax. In Cyprus, it's 0%, 0% tax on dividends. So you just have to pay 12.5% corporate tax, which is, from a global standpoint, even in Dubai, there are some parts where you can reduce this to 0, but for the most part it's about 10%. 10% is the usual stuff. So compared to 10%, 12.5 is not really like a big deal. That's the company level, and I do the residence in Paraguay to reduce my personal income tax to 0. It's much easier to set up something before your business takes off compared to once it's already taken off, because then, let's say you've set up a business in France and that French company owns your assets, a trademark. They don't want you to leave because they see your books, they see the money that you generate, the taxes that you pay. It's much harder to set it up. Plus, lawyers will charge you a huge amount. It's much easier to set up before everything really takes off. So coming to the conclusion of setting this global structure up, it took me like 3-4 months of consultations, and it was very, very random after a couple of consultations that I found out that my grandfather was born in Slovakia and I can apply for the citizenship through ancestry. It's a huge lift-off because with 2 citizenships, wherever you are, you can free yourself from those 2 countries and you have access to a lot more opportunities. Just imagine how much more you can grow your business if you have 10 to 20% more in the bank. More opportunities for yourself, more opportunities for the business, and that's what we are trying to achieve. It's not like you don't want to take any responsibility for whatever society you live in. You want to get to the level where you can take responsibility for the society faster, and that's why you should optimize your tax levels. So I just arrived in Slovakia. It's 10 a.m. We're meeting the lawyers at 12, so just gonna do a little bit of a sightseeing before that. Beautiful sunny weather, Eastern Europe for the winter. Let's go. If I were to create a postcard from Eastern Europe, it would look something like this. This could be in Budapest, could be in Poland, Slovenia, and it is in Bratislava as well. So one thing Europe has figured out is transport across the countries. One thing I miss in Latin America is trains. It took just 2.5 hours to get to Bratislava from Budapest, and it's so efficient, and there is actually space on the train. The Wi-Fi didn't really work, but that's one thing. But yeah, within the space of a few hours we are here. The ticket was also very cheap, super efficient, and that's an advantage of being in Europe. Other than this, not a lot of things. And in Latin America, certainly traveling between countries is super expensive, unfortunately. So most people go with bus, but I don't think you want to go with a bus because it's quite dodgy. But anyways, here we are, and just gonna go to the castle, check that out, check out the old town, and then meet with the lawyers. We came up to the castle. Behind me is the parliament. Now, Bratislava is not a huge metropolitan city. It's got like 500,000 people living here, and it used to belong to the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And actually, Budapest and Bratislava, or Pozsony in Hungarian, was one of the places where the parliament would sit together. So it was a political administrative capital, one of the capitals for the Hungarian administration. So a lot of history together with Hungary, and that's one of the reasons that I'm able to get this citizenship through ancestry. If you go to the other side of the river, that mountainous region, that's Austria. And that was one of the reasons why this was an administrative central of the empires, because it's strategically in between Vienna and Budapest, also next to the river, so key for trade. And it looks like a very peaceful place, but we came at the wrong moment. I don't like winter. And by the way, this castle was for a couple hundred years. This was a place where Hungarian kings would get coronated as well. So a lot of history together as well. And beautiful, beautiful statues. So we finished at the castle, and the second sightseeing that I wanted to do was this church. I mean, we have like 2 hours, so not a lot of things can fit into it, but this looked very beautiful on the pictures. Also a place where a lot of Hungarian kings and a queen was coronated, and I think buried as well, so let's see. By the way, in Europe you can tell like historically how important the city has been and what resources they have had based on the quality of the church that they have in the middle of their main square. I realized this when I went to Mallorca, which is an island in Spain, and their cathedral is just amazing, and you can see that it's been always one of the stationaries of the royal family. Also just go to Paris for the Notre Dame or the St. Paul Cathedral in England. The countries that had the most money invested the most into their church, and based on that you can see how developed that country has been historically.
One day I will break those chains. I feel so tired.
Yo guys, this was the 2-hour-long little sightseeing tour. I'm at the Sheraton Hotel just waiting for the lawyers. I don't think that I will bring the camera to the procedure. I don't want to be the guy that stands out with going to the immigration police with the camera, but I'll keep on documenting after the procedure probably.
Yo guys, so there I have it. This is the Slovak citizenship application. It was a very smooth, easy process. I had help from the lawyer agency, all easy, and they said that in the best case scenario, I may be able to get this done in 3 months. Worst case, maybe 2 years. I don't think that would happen. The average is roughly maybe 6-8 months. So all easy and good, and all will help me to free myself from the Hungarian tax system and get better opportunities, especially with the E2.
I'm just gonna talk over the beginning so you don't try to loop this shit and fucking take it like it's your own shit.